There was a woman named Mabon and her daughter named Anali walked towards Mississippi. Anali asked her mother if they were already in Mississippi. Then they stopped for a moment. Mabon told Anali about her father who was born in Mississippi City. They didn't have a house to live in. Mabon was like a homeless person who had no job. Mabon lived off his daughter by stealing food from supermarkets. She even taught her daughter to steal too. One day, Mabon felt that her money was enough to stay at a motel. So they stayed at a motel near a truck stop. Mabon stayed at the motel. Later, she saw the prostitutes staying at the motel. They offered themselves to serve the truckers. Mabon, who felt her money was running low, wanted to try the same thing as those women. She shyly approached one of the trucks, but decided against it and planned to return to her room. But a police car arrived. The policeman forcibly arrested Mabon, who had descended the ladder of the truck. He asked about what Mabon did. Mabon said that she just saw the truck, but the police didn't believe about that. He took Mabon into the car. Mabon thought that the policeman would take her to the police station, but it turned out that the man was taking her to a quiet place. The policeman told Mabon to take off her clothes. Seeing that, the man immediately raped Mabon. After that, the policeman then called his friends to come and enjoy Mabon too. But Mabon managed to grab the gun and shot him. Mabon was panicked. Then she returned to the motel with the gun. She decided to go to somewhere with Annalie. The next morning, a man was released from prison and headed home. The man's name was Russell. When he arrived near his home, two men came to beat him up. Luckily, Mabon got to go home and meet his father. Besides his father, there was a woman named Consuela. She was Russell's father's new wife. They welcomed Russell happily. In the evening, Russell and his father Gaines talked on the terrace. Russell talked about his unrest in continuing his life. Russell felt that his life was already ruined because he had gone to prison, but Gaines supported his son by preparing a place for Russell to live. Russell chose to live there because he did not want his father to be disturbed by Larry, Russell's enemy. Then Russell went to a club, but he couldn't stand the noise for long. Then he left and returned to the Gaines house to put a letter. The letter contained Russell's decision to become self-taught. Then Russell was about to go to his house, but he met a policeman who turned out to be his best friend. The man named Boyd did not know that Russell was free from prison. Hearing that Russell was released made Boyd happy. Then Russell asked about what happened in the police car in front of him. Boyd said that it was the murder of a policeman, but Boyd did not find the police gun. After talking with Boyd, Russell then continued his journey to his home. The next night, Russell visited Boyd's house. He was very close to Boyd's sons and wife. Then Russell talked about Larry, who was still upset with Russell because he had hit his son to death. After talking for a while, Russell decided to go home, but he's surprised to see the windows and door of his house broken. It turned out that it was Larry who hit and broke into Russell's house. In the morning, there was a woman who turned out to be Russell's ex-girlfriend. They talk about the past. They must have accepted the fate that did not make them together even though they loved each other because the woman already had 3 children. Then Russell said that he wanted to hold her hand one last time. Hearing Russell's words moved the woman. She slowly grasped Russell's hand. Then she hugged and kissed Russell while crying. Meanwhile, Mabon ran away from the motel. She took Annalie to live in a proper shelter. Mabon got a job as a dishwasher in a restaurant. Mabon happily accepted it, even though the salary was not much. One day, Mabon needed to work. The administrator of the shelter accompanied and guarded Annalie in the room. But when Mabon came home from work, she noticed that the police gun was not in her closet. He asked Annalie about it. Then Annalie innocently replied that the administrator of the shelter took the gun. Hearing that, Mabon panicked. She realized that she was caught keeping a gun. Then the shelter administrator reported that there was a gun there. Hearing that, Mabon tried to take the gun back. She distracted the guard by throwing a ball towards the outside of the shelter officer's room, seeing that she thought that it was Annalie. Then Mabon quickly went to get the gun. After successfully taking the gun, she took Annalie away from the shelter. They hurried away so as not to get caught by the shelter administrator. Later that evening, Russell was about to head home from the bar, but a woman pointed a gun at him. The woman was Mabon, who took Annalie. They escaped from the police chase. Mabin asked Russell for a ride, seeing that Russell accepted Mabin's request. On the way, Russell looked at Mabin. Then he thought that Mabin was not a criminal. Russell also saw that Mabin really loved her daughter. Russell tried to convince Mabin that he was not a bad person. Mabin finally believed Russell. Then she told him about her journey with Annalie, which was full of obstacles. Mabin even told him about the rape the police committed against him. Mabin even told him that she shot the policeman. Hearing that, Russell was touched. He realized that Mabin was a woman who had been through many bitter journeys and was desperate for Annalie's future. Russell also saw that they had something in common, the desperation to continue life. After hearing Mabin's story, Russell decided to help Mabin. Then Russell took Mabin to his father's house. He told him about Mabin's journey. Russell also explained the situation of Mabin, who was in search of the police. Hearing that Gaines still supported Russell's decision to help a woman, Russell asked his father's barn house to be used as a place to stay for Mabin and Annalie. Gaines accepted his son's request. Then Russell was happy to see Annalie and Mabin happy. Day by day, Mabin got better and better. Russell's father also got close to Annalie and considered her his own granddaughter. Until one night, Mabin asked why a good person like Russell could go to prison. Then Russell told her that one day he had a fight with his girlfriend. Then he drove drunk. He intended to go to his girlfriend, but he crashed into a man who just finished making love with his girlfriend. It turned out that the man named Jason was Larry's son. Larry was the man who beat him up when he got off the bus. In the middle of the conversation, Russell was surprised that Jason's girlfriend was Mabin, while Annalie was Jason's daughter. Mabin was extremely angry with Russell. She blamed Russell for all the bitterness in her life that she experienced. But then Mabin realized that all of this was destiny, including meeting Russell. Now Mabin realized that Russell risked his life to protect Mabin and Annalie. After that, Mabin and Russell decided to continue their lives. Mabin continued to live in Russell's father's barn. They grew close like family. They had dinner together, played together, and joked around. Annalie finally had the warmth of family. Annalie also grew closer to Russell. One day, Russell's best friend, who worked as a policeman, came to Russell's house. He saw that the barn house was open. Fortunately, Mabin and Annalie were not there. Consuela, who found out Boyd entered the barn house, immediately went to him. But Boyd already suspected that Russell and his family were hiding something. Then Russell met his best friend. Boyd urged Russell to tell him about a secret, but Russell evaded and pretended not to know about Boyd's words. Seeing Russell, who didn't want to tell his secret, made Boyd, until Boyd decided to leave Russell's house. Then after Boyd left, Russell met Mabin, who was hiding in the barn house. Russell suggested taking her from there while Annalie could stay with Gaines. Until the evening, they planned to escape. But Russell should take bullets to protect Mabin on the way. However, Russell and Mabin did not realize that Larry was sneaking into Russell's house. Then Mabin wanted to go to the bathroom. Seeing that, Larry immediately hit her unconscious. Meanwhile, Russell, who realized that Mabin fainted, went straight to her, but Larry hit Russell. Russell tried to fight back, but Larry managed to beat Russell. Then Larry wanted to shoot Russell, but Gaines shot Larry first. Unfortunately, Larry was still alive and could escape. Then Gaines and Russell took Mabin to the hospital. Boyd seemed to know about the incident. He immediately came to the hospital and met Russell. He asked Russell to tell him what happened. Russell, who had already been caught, immediately told everything to Boyd. He also said he wanted to bear Mabin's actions that killed the police. Russell showed a bullet casing and planned to admit Mabin's guilt. Boyd knew that the policeman Mabin killed was an asshole, but he said that the shooter would be punished, but he did not want Russell to be executed for killing the policeman. In the midst of his serious conversation with Russell, Boyd received information that there was a car accident. He went to the scene and saw that the victim was Larry. Boyd then put the bullet casings in Larry's car. He did this so that the police murder case by Mabin would be the responsibility of Larry, who had already died. This worked. The police shooting case was closed with the dead perpetrator, Larry. Russell and Mabin were relieved to know that. Likewise, Gaines and Consuela. They decided to live together without hiding Mabin and Annalie. Russell loved Anali like his own daughter. They live in peace and harmony by filling each other's void.